So, one of the big New Year's resolutions always, of course, is going to the gym, working out, finally getting back into it. But what happens more often than not, I think, for people who really want to do it, is finding the time. Because if you're there doing strength training and you've been led to believe, as many people have over the years, that you know what, you got to spend the time in that gym. You got to do 2-3 sets if you want to see any kind of results, muscle strength, flexibility, endurance, whatever. That's enough to turn some people off, right? If you don't have an hour or even more to spend in the gym, can you get anything significant done in 20 to 30 minutes? Well, there's a new study that suggests if you're doing strength training, there's some very good news for you as far as time is concerned. Jill Barker is on the line. She's the Gazette columnist for fitness and wrote about this over the weekend. Jill, how you doing?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, by the way.
You too.
So let me ask. First of all, I mentioned, this idea of having to do multiple sets. It's been around forever. And typically I think people think those are for people who are, bodybuilders that want to get big and muscular. Not the case, but what does this study show that you pointed out?
Yeah, so there's two things with this study. One, it looks at doing a single set per exercise versus the 2 or 3, or some, bodybuilders even do more sets than that. So a single set versus multiple sets of an exercise. And we also know about strength training is the core principle of strength training is something called overload. So you take your muscle to failure.
Right.
And really that's the goal. And there's been a lot of questions over the years, like, does it matter if you take your muscle to failure in 1 set or 2 sets or 3 sets? Does your body really even know the difference as long as you go to failure? So there's always been that discussion. So this study looked at both those things. Can you reach build strength and muscular endurance on 1 set, but also going just short of failure? And turns out you can.
Isn't that the great news? Now, this study, by the way, let's talk about what they did here, because it's interesting. They took 2 groups here, and what did they find? Yeah,
so they took 2 groups, and they gave them the same reps, so 8 to 12 reps per set. And always a single set, but then one group performed it to failure, and one group performed just 1 or 2 reps short of failure. So that was to see, if you could absolutely go just short of failure. So time is an essence, but also people don't like that uncomfortable feeling that comes with having to work that extra 1 or 2 reps, right? So if you were able to fall short of those 1 or 2 reps and still get the same benefit, maybe more people, again, would come back to the gym.
Yeah, and of course, at the end of the day, it's, as I said off the top, when you consider the time involved, right? You do a set, and then you're supposed to rest for a little while, be it a minute or a minute and a half. That starts to add up if you're doing 6, 7, 8 different exercises in a gym that involve strength training. All of a sudden, you've freed up an awful lot of time.
Yeah. Now, this group, it took them 30 minutes. So they did 9 exercises, 8 to 12 reps per exercise with 2 minutes of rest between exercises. That's doable.
I think imagine that, 30 minutes, not an hour, not longer than an hour, 30 minutes, get everything you need to get done in the gym. That's pretty impressive.
Which is pretty impressive. So if you do that strength and then you want to do, an aerobic workout as well, that's roughly that same 30 minutes, you can get both those things done in an hour.
Oh, now wait, you just went from 30 minutes. Now we're telling people you should do some aerobic exercise when you're done. I was trying to get them out of the gym. So.
You can mix and match, but if you don't want to always go to the gym, like for me, going to the gym is also an effort. So, if I can go to the gym fewer times per week and get everything done in an hour, or I can choose the half hour, whatever you like. The ability to mix and match is really nice.
So with respect to research, because research in this area is, of course, I guess, improving, developing over the course of the years. I think all the way back to, you're probably not old enough to remember Charles Atlas, right? And you used to get your little weight thing in the mail, and all you had to do was you'd hold a band and stretch. And back then it was something called isometric exercise, right? You wouldn't do reps. You would just hold something as long as you could.
Yeah.
That's old school. I don't think people do that anymore necessarily.
Nope.
But how have things changed in terms of the research and what we're able to find out to be able to come up with ideas like this?
Well, I think what happens is that some of those researchers, especially when they're in universities, they can actually, they can see what's going on in weight rooms, and their grad students actually look and then have an idea for a study. So it's taken out of the practical component and then put into the lab, which is great.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the big step is how you can take some of this research and then put it back in a very practical component for the everyday exerciser. So I think that's the link that's going on there. And also they take questions. They question some of the things we've always believed. Right? Like you have to do so many sets, you have to train to failure, and they test it out in the lab.
Yeah, by the way, go ahead.
And that's where we find the surprises.
I was just going to say, the one other thing that I thought might be worth mentioning here is the fact that, you know what, when you end up going to the gym, and I mentioned this off the top, but Jill, maybe you could explain, for people who don't know, who, go to the gym, get on a treadmill, get on a bike, and don't do a whole lot of anything else, why is the strength training, what have we learned about that makes it so important?
Well, it does. You mentioned up at the top that you lose muscle as you age. So, and when you do lose muscle over your age, as you age, not only is it difficult to do the chores of everyday life, like, take the garbage out or the laundry up and downstairs, but you'll also fatigue quicker. So those are things that you don't want to do, right? You want to have that vitality and to be able to do those things as you get older. And it used to think that, you get weaker as you age,
right.
But no, you do get weaker as you age because you don't strength train. So I think that's the real key thing is you want to strength train to be able to do the things of everyday life without feeling as you get older.
Listen, it's good advice, it's simple advice, and it's doable, which makes it something you might want to consider doing if you're one of those people who said, I got to get back to the gym, I just don't have the time. Well, guess what? Now you do. 30 minutes, get in, do whatever you have to do and done.
8 to 12 reps per exercise, 2 minutes rest in between exercises, done and dusted.
Bing, bang, boom, off you go. Jill, thank you so much. Always appreciate it.
No problem.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Jill Barker over at the Gazette. I think that's great. Right? Especially if you, like I said, if you're sort of, time constrained and thought, I want to go, but I can't. 30 minutes. I was in the gym this morning, so doing strength training, and typically what I start doing now is when I get done the strength training, I'll get on the treadmill, walk, incline, and then just, do like what they call that, a high interval, intermittent, whatever that is, and then just sprint like 3 times. The good news, though, is when I got done doing the strength training, there was already someone on the treadmill, so I got to go home. That was the best part of my day.
Seasoned gamer or just video game curious? This Week in Gaming is the podcast for you. We break down the latest in the world of video games, from basics to beyond. The hottest gaming news, insight, and industry leaders and more weekly. Join me, Naomi Kyle, and stay ahead of the game with all the latest updates, even if you're a total newbie. Stream This Week in Gaming on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.